Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now today we're actually on a German beer. I wasn't actually planning to do these. Quite a lot of YouTube reviewers are reviewing these beers that were done as a kind of box of 10 kind of different kind of festival beers from Lidl, and a lot of people were reviewing them. I thought, well, means I don't have to. Okay. Until the wife came back with the box, because she was out shopping. She popped it in Lidl and she noticed it, so she got me the box. So I thought, right, well, I've got it now, might as well review it. So that's what I'm doing. Now I think in the box a couple of them are actually Oktoberfest beers, but the other ones are Fest beers. Now a few of the reviewers that I've caught doing a couple of the beers from it, I've been saying, yeah, they're not proper Fest beers. Here's the big shocker. There is more Volkfests in Germany than just Oktoberfest, and especially in Bavaria there's a lot, and this beer that we're going to be doing is actually from the second biggest Volkfest or Volkfest in Germany, in Straubing. And they do make these fest beers for these festivals, so they're not trying to copy or be Oktoberfest beers. They're fest beers in their own right for their own local festivals. And the one we're doing is actually, I think they do it in open fermenters, so they're hand brewed in open fermenters, which of course none of the beers in Oktoberfest are. So again, you've got to watch what you're saying. Is if they're not one of the main Oktoberfest beers, then you can't turn and say, oh well, they're not fest beers then. Yeah, they are, but they're not Oktoberfest beers. So again, do your fucking homework. There's a few that were basically making that mistake, and I fucking hate that. You know what I mean? Everybody makes a mistake, but correct it then. You know, do your homework. If you don't know, do your homework. So that's something to kind of look out for. But yeah, so the one we're doing just now is going to be, it's a proper fest beer. It's not an Oktoberfest beer, but it is a festival beer that's actually brewed for the second biggest folk festival in Germany. And funnily enough, a lot of people say it's actually the best folk festival because it still has some of the traditions that the kind of more commercial side is kind of taken over Oktoberfest, and it's all about really making money and everything else, whereas it seems to be a bit more traditional. And again, most of the Germans that attend this folk festival in Straubing, I think it's called Gauboden Volkfest. Gauboden Volkfest is what it's basically called, and like I say, it's supposed to be the second biggest, and it's quite traditional. Most Germans are wearing the lederhosen and things like that to it. So again, if you're not wearing lederhosen, it's mostly it's tourists that aren't. So there you go. But the beer is Erlkönig Festbier, and it's by Erl Bräu, and it is a local beer, and it is made supposedly in the kind of traditional way. It's using Hallertau hops, so it is, and it's supposed to be kind of a mild, balanced beer, supposedly, and it's 6.1%. It's half a litre or 500ml bottle. It's part of this kind of range of 10 beers, so it was 20, I think it was 25 quid for the box, so it's £2.50 a bottle. But again, you'd have to buy the whole box to get it. And that's really it. There's not really much to say about it, but obviously I've done a bit of homework, and yeah, it seems to be getting, it's stranger because I also did some check up to what kind of people have kind of been reviewing it, like on Untapped and some of these other kind of websites that people are buying it. Now, a lot of the kind of top or better reviews, most of them are kind of 4 stars or 4 out of 5 plus, are actually coming from Germans, and but on average I think it's getting roughly about 3.5, 3.7, but it seems to be that the Germans are rating this higher than some of the other kind of reviewers or people putting up their scores. So yeah, did I do that? I did, didn't I? There we go. Marvellous. Get the glasses up. Hey, there we go. Yeah, not so bad. Right, so let's crack it open and see what it's like. Mm. So there you go. For people on the podcast, it's a very kind of light coloured, quite well carbonated, but light coloured lager or Festbier. It is quite light in colour, a kind of light straw colour, and it's roughly about 2 finger head. And yeah, it smells kind of quite sweety, so it does. I'm getting malt. I'm not really getting. No, see, the thing is with the halito hops, it's supposed to be kind of slightly flowery, slightly spicy, and I'm not getting either of them in any aroma. I am getting obviously light malt, but I'm also getting slightly sweeter kind of aromas as well. And yeah, well, but yeah, it's kind of a bit one-dimensional, maybe a hint of grain, but again, quite kind of one-dimensional in the aroma. Steaks anyway. So let's see what it tastes like. Okay. Maybe a little bit more carbonation than it really needs. It's not badly over-carbonated, but I would say it's slightly over-carbonated. It's not smooth, put it that way. It is a bit kind of on the kind of lively side of the carbonation. So it is, and it's gone pretty dead actually. For people on the podcast, the head is buggered off and left the building, and they're just giving us some slight kind of lacing on the glass. Hint of bitterness in the aftertaste, but very light. It's more of an accent rather than a kind of actual proper flavour profile. So it is, and yeah, I mean, people are saying it's supposed to be a kind of a mild, well balanced Festbier. There's a bit of sweetness there, not as sweet as what I thought it was going to be by the aroma, because it was giving us some sweet tones there, but excuse me, but no, it's not too bad from that point. But in general, in general, it's kind of lacking. I mean, another reason why I decided to do this and review it is, one, because obviously the wife got it, but two, I thought it'd be quite a good thing to kind of use as a trade-off and kind of compare as a comparison, because we're doing the Czech beer series. Is let's try and compare them and see what they're like. And we have done two beers from either end of the spectrum. Radagast, which is from the kind of more hoppy side, which is the kind of 36 IBU. See, I remembered at that time. I remembered it. I don't know. The last in the video was kept saying 30 like an arsehole. But and also we did Gambrinus, and Gambrinus is 24, and it's one of the kind of more sweeter ones. And it would just to kind of, I think it'd be an interest as a contrast just to see how these kind of beers compare. And one of the things you do notice is there's a lack of malt and body Jesus, also lack of fucking head as well, because it's control. I'm not even getting any lacing on the glass now. It's like, fuck, can't be arsed. So yeah, apart from basically the beer going absolutely dead on me, there's quite a distinct difference. There's a lack of malt in this beer compared to either ones we've tried so far from the Czech series. And also there's a lack of body. And it's quite funny because both of these beers are less in alcohol. One was a 4.3, another one was a 5.1. This is a 6.1. And I mean, it does have a bit more body and robustness than, say, mainstream piss water. Yes, it does have more body. But compared to the two that we've tried so far from the Czech review series, it's lacking. It's lacking in body. It doesn't have the body. It doesn't have the kind of well-defined malt tones. It's lacking in the malt and it's lacking in the body. There's a bit of bitterness, but overall, we're talking about, watery beers. Well, compared to the two we've tried, this is slightly watery. It's not as watery as kind of your mainstream piss waters from the UK and also from Europe. But there is an element of wateriness compared to the two Czech beers. Of course, obviously, we've got other ones to try, and they might be more watery than the ones we've tried so far. But just comparing them, like for like, as a lager and a lager style, yeah, well, I'd say from what I like of beers, there is no real flavour to this. It's kind of slightly lacking in, well, it's not just slightly, it's fairly lacking in flavour. There's no real standout flavour. There's no punch there at all. It is lacking compared to the two beers we've tried in the Czech series. Yeah, from some point of view, it's quite disappointing, but it's also not surprising. There is that kind of thing that people rave about German beers, and it's fine. German beers are fine, and some of them are quite nice and everything else. But overall, I would say there's quite a lot of average German beers, and not that many exceptional. And when you do compare them to, like, say, Czech beers, one of the things is Czech beers do play the malt card a lot stronger. They do put a lot more malt in their beers, and there is more body to them in general. And it does kind of stand out that quite a lot of the German beers can't really hold a candle from that point of view. Other ones, well, yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I would probably say this is more kind of sessionable. With a lack of flavour, but two things that can annoy me is the carbonation, just a little bit too much, and just a lack of body, and in general kind of lack of flavour. It is very kind of when they're saying mild, well, they weren't joking. It really is quite mild. Mild in flavour, mild in character, just mild, bordering on bland, so a bit disappointing from that point. But yeah, I suppose it being a Festbier, it is brewed to be sessionable. It is brewed to be chucked down your throat in great quantities, which is great, fine, and well, probably if you've got them in big mass jugs, then yeah, you'll be off your tits in no time at 6.1%, drinking it by a litre at a time, or a litre and a half, depending on which size you go for. But yeah, overall, quite forgettable. Right, we'll break down the flavours because there isn't going to take long, and then we can just give it a score and get the hell out of here because I don't think it's really worth wasting any more time on it. Start off front of the mouth. Some light pale malts, a little hint of grain, a little bit of sweetness, but not much, and that's really it. And it just seems to be kind of slightly muddy. There's nothing really overly clear about the flavours or anything like that. Nothing bold about them. They're just quite light and to a certain degree quite forgettable. Moves on to the mid-tongue, and just like the flavours just kind of slightly die down. They just slightly dissipate in the mid-tongue and just kind of sit there and don't really do anything. Nothing new really comes in. No real any kind of pepperiness. I mean, Hallertau hops, you can get floweriness from it. You get spiciness and things, and I'm not really getting that. Just quite a bland and mundane kind of mid-tongue of a little bit of grain, some light malt, and just a kind of very light basic kind of sweetness, and very light. And then as it moves from that onto the kind of aftertaste, well, as the three flavours come across into the aftertaste, they kind of dissipate quite quickly. It's quite a clean finish, and you just get the little kind of accents of bitterness just as they kind of fade off, as if like they're overpowering these kind of bitter accents, and they only kind of become prevalent as once the three main kind of flavours dissipate, and they dissipate quite quickly, and you just get these little accents of bitterness, and then they're gone as well. So it's quite a quick, clean finish, and really quite forgettable. I mean, it's one of these ones where the way the aftertaste is, and just the general feel of the beer, that I'm not really that kind of fussed to take another drink. You know, it's like that. There's nothing that kind of really attracted me or kind of enticing me to go back for another drink. Like, it's one of these ones where, yeah, you start talking to people, maybe nibbling on a pretzel, and you would forget about it. Really, you would. It's the cases of you would just be doing it just to kind of help wet your mouth and help you to swallow your pretzel. It's that kind of beer. You wouldn't think, well, that's a good beer. Oh, you know, if you tasted that, you know, you wouldn't be doing that. Like, oh, what's a beer like? That's all right. It's okay. Average. And then you'd be talking about other topics. You know, it's not a conversation starter if you're basically sitting in a beer cellar. They'd be like, oh, here's the beers coming. All right. Where the fuck's the head's Malin? I mean, that's what you would be thinking. Mine's got no head. I mean, that would be the talking point. What happened to your head? I don't know. What beer have I got? Oh, I've got this one. You know, it's like that. So, yeah. So, what would I give this out of 10? Well, like I say, mainstream piss waters are on about 3 or 4. It's kind of okay, but nothing special in any way, shape, or form. I wouldn't even say, if I'm looking at on a lager scale, it's even average. So I couldn't even give it a 5 out of 10. I think the best I can give it is maybe a 4.5. I would say, yes, it's probably closer to a kind of slightly more premium mainstream piss water, like kind of Estrella or Asahi and all these other kind of crappier ones. I suppose you even get kind of Staropramen and things like this, and you know, these ones in the kind of 650 or 620ml bottles that are always kind of roughly about $2.50 in the supermarket. I would kind of class it as a kind of similar to these type of kind of ones you get. Nothing special, all right, a little bit better than the mainstream piss water, but yeah, nothing to write home about. So yeah, it's £2.50 as part of a 10 pack at 25 quid. So maybe not the best value for money. Similar pricing, of course, to the kind of slightly more premium mainstream piss waters. It's completely flat, slightly overcarbonated. It's a half-litre bottle. 4.5 out of 10. Would I recommend it? No, not really, no. It's 6.1%, and There's just nothing really, any character about it whatsoever. Would I recommend it? No, I wouldn't recommend it. And I'll be totally honest, I'd have to be pissed at a Folkfest to want to have another one. I would be, if I was there and I had that, I'm thinking, well, what other ones have you got? I'd be like that, and then, oh, we don't. Oh, fuck. Well, better go and get myself a head start. I'd hope to go and have a hip flask on me, maybe have a couple of swigs of that to kind of kickstart it before I'd have to go on something like this. It's just, not really that great. So yeah, 4.5 out of 10. Quite bland, lacking character, slightly overcarbonated, and doesn't really have any of the characteristics of the Hallertau hops. So, thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.